As you know, we have a new college women's national champion,
Yes.
and it's the South Carolina Gamecocks, Don
Mhm.
Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks, 38-0, by the way.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, they weren't the story, and I'll get into that later. But just give everybody a little brief synopsis of what happened last weekend. The championship game between South Carolina and Iowa was an historic event, and it was historic because not just South Carolina finished the season 38-0,
Mhm.
but it was the first time the women's title game outdrew the men's championship game.
Yeah.
It was the second most watched non-Olympic women's sporting event on U.S. television in history. Just to give context for everybody out there, 18.9 million viewers on ABC and ESPN viewed the national championship game last Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, mind you. This is not
Yeah.
prime time.
Right.
Okay. At its peak, which was in the final 15 minutes, which is the last half of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter,
Mhm.
24.1 million people tuned in to watch it. It set the record, but it set the record that had just been set 2 days prior when UConn and Iowa played each other, in which there was 14.82 million viewers watching that game. 14.42 million viewers watching the women's basketball game, the Final Four between Iowa and Connecticut. To give you an idea, the men's national championship had 14.82. So the Final Four game of the women's game almost outrated the men's national championship game.
Yeah.
So people was inside, all about watching the women play last weekend, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, the NBA Finals in 2023 had 11.6 million viewers. The World Series in 2023 had 9.1 million. So they outpaced the NBA Finals last year, World Series last year, and not to mention the 2024 NCAA Men's Championship. So
they outpaced the most watched, the most highest rated sports on television is football.
Yeah.
They outrated SEC championship game, ACC, Big 12, Big 10 championship game. The only games that outrated them were a few, basically all the NFL playoff games, just a few NFL regular season games, and then the national championship college football game, I think, outrated them. But other than that, nothing has come close.
Right.
Now, why was the rating like that? Because there's 2 Final Four games, and the second Final Four game, granted, it's later on a Friday, got 7 million people to tune in. So why did 14 million people tune in on Friday at 7, and then 19 million people tune in Sunday at 3? The person's name is Caitlyn Clark.
Caitlyn, damn, money shot from half court, balling out of control, Clark.
Now we already talked about Caitlyn Clark and how we feel about Caitlyn Clark. I feel really bad for her that she's been placed in this position as the great white hope.
Yeah.
She didn't ask for that. She just out there hooping, and she's getting some flack because of how much attention that she's getting. But also, if she's not the best player in the game, she is 2 or 3rd best player in the game. And most importantly, her game is more appealing to the eye because it's flashy. So like all the attention that she gets is warranted. But this weekend was more than Caitlyn Clark. She drove the ratings.
Yeah.
But as I was watching sports news talking heads on Monday and even Sunday night, Everything was about Caitlyn,
Mm-hmm.
and not enough about South Carolina going 38-0. Don Staley being a 3-time NCAA champion. The fact that South Carolina has only lost one game in 2 years, that loss being in the Final Four last year to Caitlyn Clark. So they avenged that loss last year. And I just thought like there should be more emphasis
Yeah.
on the totality of the women's game, because there was a standout player on every team in the Final Four.
I mean, of course.
Like, and there's storylines, and that's kind of how, like, Caitlyn Clark is a flash in the pan. You're not going to get players like that every single year that get that type of attention.
Mm-hmm.
But the coverage that she got and the storylines that were created for her can be created for other players to draw attention to other players, to spotlight other players, so that you might not get 19 million viewers next year for the national championship game, but maybe you can get 14 again.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe you go a little under that. Maybe you can get 12 if you popularize is not a word at all.
I don't even know what it was trying to be.
I don't know what it was trying to put a spotlight. That's what I was trying to say, but I don't know what word came out of my mouth to say put a spotlight.
Right.
Um,
We were both confused.
Yeah, I'm still confused. I don't know what I was trying to say, but the gist is that to put a spotlight on the women's game, because this can keep going. It can keep growing. During the pandemic, there was a young player, I think she played for the University of Washington, that showed the facilities that the women were playing in the tournament. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like they had a dumbbell set for their weight room, where
Yeah.
on the men's side, because they were playing in the same arena, on the
Mm-hmm.
men's side for the weight room, it looked like a regular gym.
Yeah.
And it was like, and even this year, in one of the courts, they drew the wrong 3-point line. So even like even still this year, they were not getting the benefit that they should.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that this is creating a spotlight on the women's game. And it should translate to the WNBA, because Caitlyn Clark was just drafted #1 by the Indiana Fever. If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notification button when you do subscribe, so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page, where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/Unsolicited Perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.